You're tuned in to Shake, Rattle, and Goal, the official podcast of your Springfield Thunderbirds.
Becca's there on the backhand, scoring the save, rebound in the crease, they score!
Hosted by Matt Baker and Steve Forney. A show that's everything Springfield hockey, with interviews including players, coaches, and staff.
The Springfield Indians repeat as the Calder Cup champions.
Listen to this podcast on all major streaming platforms and wherever you download podcasts.
In his first year at the helm, Kevin McDonald and Drew Bannister have the Teamers in the Calder Cup Finals.
Watch the podcast on the official Shake, Rattle, and Goal YouTube page at SRG Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker and Steve Forney. And this episode number 25 of the Shake, Rattle, and Goal podcast is proudly brought to you by our friends at White Lion Brewing in Tower Square in downtown Springfield and in Amherst, by our friends at Brewcade in Agawam on Walnut Street, and by our friends at Landscaping That Fits, 413-847-0338. Alongside Matt Baker, I am Steve Forney. How are you, bud?
Doing well. We're getting into the spring, so I'm jacked up coaching soccer for one son, coaching my other son's lacrosse team. So I'm doing well. A lot of coffee in the morning. How about you guys? Made it through the winter.
Yeah. Same thing. Baseball's, sports are starting, but this has been one of those really long weeks, and you look and it's only Tuesday.
Yep.
So we'll get through it. So we have a lot to get to today, and I don't think we're going to plan on necessarily bashing the team here for their play as of late. There are some elements to it that I did want to kind of bring up. And we are going to look forward, because I think that's the most important thing at this juncture of the season and where this team is at, is to not dwell in the past, but to kind of look forward and see what we got coming up. So we're going to do that. We have some fan rants, and of course, I'm sure those are pleasant. So, we'll get to those as well. But Matt, I didn't know off the top if there was anything that you sort of generic or specific takeaways from this current, 6 games now, losing streak?
Yeah. I don't, and I agree with you. We're not going to sit here for an hour and bash the team. They know they haven't won in 6 games. I've been, though, looking back, box scores of different games and thinking like, all right, is it a fix? What is it? Is it a slump? And here's my, I don't know if I would call it a hot take, but here's just my general assessment of the situation. I don't necessarily know if this is a slump. And hear me out. I know they haven't won in 2 weeks, 6 games, but you look at some of the things that they've done all year long. Like, what has been true about this team all year long? Great goaltending from Ellis. Right? Up and down from Z. Great goaltending from Ellis. All year long, you've been able to rely on a consistent Pekka. All year long, you've been able to rely on a consistently hustling McGing. And I don't mean that as a slight. I just mean that, like, he did go through a goal-scoring slump, but for never did I think his effort wasn't there, or he wasn't focused, right? So you've always had the effort there from McGing. All year long, this team has struggled defensively to clear the D zone. All year long, this team has had challenges through the neutral zone. And all year long, this team has given up way too many shots. So over the last 6 games, the negatives that we've sort of seen all year long, that hasn't changed. It's who the team is. They give up too many shots, and they struggle to clear the D zone, and at times have a hard time even throughout the neutral zone. I think over these 6 games, really what you're just seeing is Nikki had a goal the other night. The power play has been red hot. That's been like the bright light of these past 6 games, is their power play has been good. But Nikki has gone cold. Pekka hasn't been as timely from a goal scoring standpoint. So defensively and team-wise, I kind of just think this is who they are. Right now, you're just not getting a red hot Nicky to make up for a lot of the other struggles that this team has. One of their earlier hot streaks, you had the two line, the Dvorsky, Silvergard, and Kaskamaki bailed them out of a few games. So I'm saying all this. This is kind of my take. I don't think this is something that's going to last forever. I just think now it's a rough combination. It's not timely because we're at the end of March and now is when you want to be playing your best hockey. But I don't think as a team they're necessarily playing all of a sudden really bad hockey. I kind of think they've been playing hockey this way all year long. Right now, you just have individuals that aren't scoring goals. I'm not putting it all on them, but I think, as we know, that ebbs and flows, that will come. So once the goals start to come again, I feel pretty confident that you can ride the swagger a little bit, if that makes sense. I don't think the team forgot how to play hockey. I don't think they changed how to play hockey. You're still seeing effort. You're still seeing hustle. We're still seeing turnovers in the D zone. They can't clear the D zone. And I think that's been all year long, though. So, I do think against Syracuse, I think they got under the Thunderbirds' skin. I think that was probably a weekend that Ellis wasn't as sharp as he normally had been. But these past two losses that Ellis had, he didn't play bad. He made good saves. So I don't know. That's kind of like, yeah, they're playing. They're not winning. It's not good. It's not timely. However, that's my glass half full is I kind of just think this team is playing how they've been all year, just missing some goals.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned the offense because I want to talk about the defense. And, I mean, the shot total, again, something that we've dealt with all season long.
Right.
And real quick on that, why? Like, I'd like to know why. Why has it happened all season long? Like, what? That's when you start looking at the coaching staff. And I'm not just Steve Konowalchuk, but at some point, we said this last year about the interim coach. We said, well, if it's the same mistakes over and over and over again, what are you doing to address them, to fix them? Right. I thought that there was the Milwaukee game in particular, the Milwaukee goals, and even a lot of the Syracuse goals were because Syracuse wanted the puck more.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying harder. They wanted the puck more. There was nothing that you could do to stop them. And I think that the Thunderbirds played into that. I mean, it's your goal. It's your goal and it's your goalie. Are you going to defend it or aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
They want the puck. You don't want the puck to go in. Will against will, who's going to be better and who's going to be tougher? And Syracuse in those two games and Milwaukee were all tougher in front of the Thunderbirds' defensive goal. And I thought that led to a lot of goals and scoring chances. Mm-hmm. So to me, that is something that's easily fixable. Do you want it? Right? Like, you got to want it more than that guy. It's plain and simple. So there is that. I have one thing that I just keep pointing to. I've been pointing to it all weekend, and I feel bad about it. This thing that I'm going to say, I feel bad about it. And I'm pleased to this particular player. I would say that the Matt Luff signing worked out really well. I would say that the Corey Andonovsky trade has worked out pretty well. I am perfectly okay with the Cale Kessie trade, right? We kind of know what we're getting. Kalen Addison.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know much about the guy other than what I've seen and what the numbers show me. In his 6 games, he's played 6 games for the Thunderbirds. And of course, this froze up on me. 6 games. They're 0-6. No goals, no assists, -8.
Mm-hmm.
He is a minus, again, I'm minus 32. I'd like to say minus 32 in like 40 games.
Yeah.
Between Henderson and here.
Mm-hmm.
So can one guy come on your team and boom, have such a bad impact that you lose 6 in a row? No, mm-hmm. It's hockey, unless it's just a really, really bad goalie. No one player is going to have that kind of a negative effect on you. I haven't watched the Henderson Silver Knights play, but I know that they're terrible. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about culture, winning culture, losing culture, all I can go off of is what my eyes have shown me for 6 games and what the stat box show me. that particular player not off to a good start. So when we talk about providing offense, I think he's still 5th in the league in power play points for defensemen. I know it's a specific stat, but it's a good one when you need it. He's not doing that, and he's not defending in front of his own net. No goals, no assists, -8 in 6 games. So it's not, like I said, one player can't just bring an entire team down. I don't believe in that. I mean, then again, we saw what Jacob Vrana did to this team last year. And I'm not questioning. I don't even want to make the comparison because I know Vrana wasn't good for that locker room. I don't know what Kalen Addison's bringing. Maybe it's just coming. No, West Coast to East Coast, different division, right? We talk about how the West plays differently than the East. It's a whole different style than what I believe he was drafted by Milwaukee. By Minnesota. So I think he's played most, if not all, of his hockey in the West Coast. So now you're in the East, and yeah, everything's kind of different. Everything's changed, and it kind of blows my mind when I look at the numbers. And I mean, the third period of this, the home game against Milwaukee, I got to be honest. I whenever he was on the ice, I only watched him. I didn't watch the puck. I didn't watch anything. I watched Addison, and I don't know. This guy's. I think he's just taken a longer time to grow with the new team, the new division, the new play style, etc. So I don't know. When I look at it and I see Michael Bushinger coming back, it's like, okay, well, where's he going to play? You're going to take out Scott Harrington, a veteran leader. You're going to who are you going to take out? You're not taking out Leo Loof. You're not taking out Hunter Skinner. You're not taking out Schooneman. Where's that spot going to go? And I don't know. I think they got to now. You acquire a guy. He's got that kind of skill. He's got those kind of numbers. You can't just give him 6 games and go, all right, buddy, sayonara, go up to the roof to watch the game. So they are going to have they should, at least I would, give him another game or two, maybe another weekend to see if anything changes. But it is ironic that he's been here for 6 games and they've lost them all. So, yeah. And he's not the only one. I thought Corey Schooneman had a tough weekend, just not in the right positions. Skinner wasn't tough enough in front of his own net. And, I love him. Leo Loof, I thought, played very, very well considering. But there's some deep things back on the back end that need to be addressed. And a lot of it, like I said, starts right upstairs, I think. Starts right in their chest. Do you want it more than the other guy? And they need to start saying yes to that question.
Fair. Great points. Great numbers. And you're right. And I do also, let me reiterate too, because I agree with you wholeheartedly. One player is not going to make a difference. That being said, though, I think it's interesting, and let me flip it a little bit, because I think this is also part of the struggle. Kalen Addison, and we did talk about it. He creates offense based on his stats. We neither one of us knew much about him. He creates, but based on his stat lines and his history, he creates points. He creates offense, but he had an awful plus-minus rating, and he has historically played with losing clubs. I believe wholeheartedly winning and losing is habitual, and it's those sorts of things that you're talking about. Going that extra little bit to win a game is sometimes all it takes. The difference between a win and a loss can be a quarter of an inch hitting a pipe and a goal, in all different sports. So I do agree with you. I think getting used to playing winning hockey is something he will have to get used to. You can't put it all on him. I agree. However, the situation is what it is. I don't know if all the trades you listed, with the exception of Matt Luff, who has been here for practically the whole year. We've said this before. Cale Kessie was not brought in to be an every night 4th liner with Sam. He just wasn't. Andonovski, he's been a great player for us. But again, I don't think the mentality was we're going to bring this guy in and he's going to be playing top 6 minutes for us.
No, these are all these are just win the trade. Did you win the trade? Is Corey Andonovski more valuable than Matthias Leferrier?
Yes. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, agree. But what I'm getting at is I think because of injuries, you have players. So let's look at what the Thunderbirds have put on the ice. You put in a brand new player, Kalen Addison, who I would expect the offense to struggle a little bit because the chemistry just isn't there yet. You have guys who have been playing with other guys all season long. So it's not like everybody else is trying to figure everybody else out. Everybody else is kind of already on the same page. You throw Kalen Addison in there, and he has to get used to it on the fly. He doesn't have 2 weeks of practice to get accustomed to it. So that is something he needs to overcome. You're basically playing, and again, no slight to these players at all. I think they have their roles, but with this team, they play the way they do defensively. They give up a lot of shots. Right now, I think the losses are happening because we don't have offense. Well, we also have basically 2.5 lines that can produce offense. There is zero expectation, and I mean this with no disrespect. There is no expectation when I see Cale Kessie, Tanner Dickinson, and Sam Bitten on the ice together. I'm not expecting magic to happen. I want to see hustle. I want to see effort. I want to see winning the puck in the corners. I want to see hard work. We get that, but we don't get offense, right? So when you're struggling to score goals and you're only able to put 2.5 lines, maybe three lines worth of credible offensive threats on the ice, you're at a disadvantage there. So I that's where I'll go to. I don't really think it's a quote unquote slump because I think this is how the team has played all year. They give up a lot of shots. They struggle in the D zone, clearing the puck. But when you're rolling out, when they're healthy and you're rolling out a 4th line center of Zach Dean, and again, I know it's a down year, it's injuries, but when he still has skill and talent and knows how to play the game, when he's your 4th line center with Tanner Dickinson and Sam Bitten across, you have skill, you have physicality, and then your third line is McGing, right? Your second line's Dvorsky, your first line's Pekka. That's just constant offensive pressure. So you can overcome some of those defensive deficiencies that they've had all year. Right now, you're rolling 2 top lines and your third line, again, there's shuffling pieces in there. So whether it's Stenberg, a rookie, or McGing, again, I think McGing has been steadfast all year long, up and down with the goals, but his effort, his hustle, his grit has been there all year long. You're struggling to produce offense when you're not getting 2 points a night from Nicky or, a 12. What did Pekka have? A 10, 11, 12 game point streak, phenomenal run. When that stuff goes away, you're going to lose games 4-1, 3-1, games that you had been winning 5-3. So, but I think the goals ebb and flow. You just got to find it. Guys are getting healthier. Buchinger was on the ice pregame Saturday.
Yeah.
He's expected to play this weekend. I've heard Peterson is close. If not this weekend, hopefully next weekend. I haven't
sure
heard
what's up with Kaskamaki either.
I haven't heard much about Kaskamaki or Dean, but those are guys that, again, when Kaskamaki is your second line winger with Devo and McEachern, Alexander, whoever, that looks different than what, again, and this is no disrespect to who is playing. I just think if you're being realistic, you have to look at it and say, Kalen Addison, great trade, probably better if in a 3-3 we can play him in that middle night to give somebody a break as he's getting acclimated to this team, as he can sit up on the up in the 9th floor and watch and see how this team develops offense, see how they play a lack of defense. But he, learn that way and understand the team that way. Nope, you're throwing in trial by fire, playing him every night. That's not ideal when like you said, when you're bringing somebody in at the trade deadline from the West Coast who knows nothing about these East Coast teams.
Right.
When you're playing Kessie and Sam on the line at the same, again, I guarantee you the thought process when you make the trade for Kessie is in a series like Syracuse. If we have to face Syracuse, if we have to face Laval in a 7-game series, in a 5-game series, there might be a game or two where we put both of them in, but really you can alternate a Sam and a Kessie, so you stay fresh. You can stay just as physical as you need to be, not playing them together every night. So I just think, I don't think guys are playing what their roles were intended to be, and I don't think guys are playing their roles for what they were traded for necessarily to be. That all being said, I'm still very confident. Get into the playoff. It's a little bit hairier than it was 2 weeks ago, but you get into the playoff. If this team does get healthy and roll, look out, because there's no doubt this team has a whole lot of talent. That's my spiel.
I don't want to keep beating up on him, but I just looked it up, and Addison has almost 300 games combined between the AHL and the NHL. So he's at like 280 games, let's call it. He's a combined minus 90. Minus 59 in 152 NHL games. Now, he did last year. He was on San Jose, which was literally the worst team in the league. I was like one of the top worst teams of the decade. Right.
Yeah.
So I'll cut him a little bit of slack there, but I'm it's like looking at your stocks. I'm like, I want to X out of this window as fast as I can. I don't want to look at it anymore.
And you're right. I mean, and that's what we mean. Like he's always historically been on bad losing teams.
Right.
So does he have that winning effort? Does he know even what that is?
Right.
But also, like if you're scoring points, if you're generating offense, maybe the plus minus doesn't feel as bad. It's probably a lot worse though if you are creating 20 points worth for your team and you're still sitting there at a minus 20. That's not good. That's what we are now. Like you're not generating any offense and you're a minus 8 in 6 games.
He's still awesome in NHL 23. I can tell you that much. He's great in the game. So another thing I wanted to mention here, obviously, congratulations to Dalibor Dvorsky getting the call up. I caught a lot of the game on the radio, which I love those broadcasters out there. They're funny and they say whatever they want and feel about the refs at any particular time. Sounded to me like Dvorsky had a pretty good showing. I think they said he started off a little, you got to let the nerves rust off and everything else, but he found his feet. He was passing well. He had a secondary assist that eventually got reviewed and they took it away from him because of course they did. And they gave it to somebody else. But again, he was involved. He was on the ice for a goal for. So he's playing so far halfway decent. Again, they play tonight. It's Tuesday, so I think they play again tonight. Who's going to fill that void? And to me, because you just talked about what's going on down the middle, Otto Stenberg, this is the longest. Otto Stenberg's always played center. It wasn't until he came to Springfield where he was put on the wing. So I think that is probably your best option. Right now, are you going to have to shuffle a whole bunch of other stuff to make this work? Of course. But who's going to play that pivotal, how can I talk tonight? That pivotal second line center, my vote's Otto Stenberg.
You wouldn't put McGing up there?
No, because I think if you take McGing off your third line, then what's your third line look like?
Right. Yeah.
So if you're going Luff and Stenberg together, well, let's see. I'm going to do it.
You're going to keep Luff with Pekka, though.
Pekka, Luff, and
Nicky.
Oh, boy, it's looking thin
and
here.
And then you put McEachern, Stenberg.
And player X.
Yeah.
So I think that's how I would do it. Because then you can still keep McGing to hold down the fort on that third line. And I thought Hugh had another great weekend despite just effort. Every time I look and there's one guy flying to a puck, it's always number 11.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you want on their third line. You want that guy bringing that to the table every single night. So, so anyway.
Did you hear, I thought this was an interesting story about Dalibor Dvorsky's dad. I thought that was great. So just highlight that and well done, Mr. Dvorsky. Congratulations. But he was down in Springfield visiting his son and was scheduled to fly out. I'm getting my days mixed. I think like Friday night or early Saturday morning, but ended up changing his flight to St. Louis, and so he could stay and watch Dalibor debut in the NHL. So it all good things. On that note, go ahead.
Those flights to Europe are not easy to change, nor
Yeah.
are they free. So
Yeah.
tip of the hat to them.
Yeah. On that note, I do feel, and I have no insider information on this. This is just kind of my thought, is that Dalibor will be back down here sooner than later. The Blues right now are playing as red hot as the Thunderbirds were playing 3 weeks ago. The Blues are that hot now. So they are creating a nice little hold on that second wild card spot for the Western Conference Finals. I don't know if you bring Dalibor and Snuggerud on that roster and bury them in the playoff. Because I don't know if you necessarily play them. I have no insider information on this. I can only go on my own feeling. When you originally said, hey, Snuggerud, hang around with us, it's because you were going to be playing meaningless standings games that would be meaningful for him for experience, but in the standings, I don't know. Is it beneficial to throw one of your future stars in Snuggerud fresh out of the Frozen Four, big quality ice time in an NHL playoff? I don't know if that's beneficial for you. So I don't see the Blues keeping both of them up. If you had to choose,
I don't see him keeping either. I mean, if the Thunderbirds are going to turn this around and get in the playoffs, you're going to have your black aces, which are guys that every NHL team can bring up. It's almost like you get extra scratches. And they call them, I think it's league wide. The Bruins always call them the black aces. Would you rather have stashed away, ready to jump into playoff hockey, NHL hockey, Matt Luff and Mackenzie McEachern, or Nikita Alexandrov? Any of those three, or Snuggerud and Dvorsky? If it were me, I don't want them sitting up on the 9th floor watching playoff hockey. I want them playing top line minutes at the AHL level against grown adults.
Yeah.
So again, I always kind of take a more long-term approach, but I mean, again, if the Blues are playing so well right now, do you really want to, how much tweaking and tinkering do you want to do to that actual starting lineup? Right. Agreed. So if I were them, if it was me, because again, the fans want to see Dvorsky, the fans want to see Snuggerud. Everybody just keeps asking about Snuggerud. Don't worry. If I'm a St. Louis Blues fan, I'm not worrying about when the next guy is going to be here. I'm worried about how they're playing right now and what's going to happen over the course of the next 2 weeks. Like, that should be their concern. And I think that's starting to shift, right? Because they were right on the line there, and now they've taken flight. Worry about the playoffs, getting in the roster you currently have, and let the kids be kids.
Agreed. I would agree. So that's my take. I think Dalibor comes back down. I think you'll probably, based on timing wise, you'll give a game or two for Snuggerud in St. Louis to show face. I don't see how it's beneficial or who it benefits in the long run and in the short term to have either of them or both of them up on the 9th floor watching. Let them play hockey, and next year you'll have them, and you'll have them all season long. It's probably my prediction.
Let them play meaningful hockey. Yeah. And Denver will be in the NCAA hockey tournament. So if you
Minnesota, you mean?
What'd I say? Denver?
Yeah. Minnesota.
Hey, I'm off night tonight. I'm telling you. If they'll be in it. So if you catch any of those games, make sure you keep an eye out for Snuggerud and report back to me. I'll try to keep my eyes out too for it. And we are going to get into some fan rants coming up here in a little bit. And again, guys, there was like 50 something comments, and most of them were kind of very much WTF boys, right?
Yep.
So we're not just going to beat ourselves over the head with them, but we will sort of pick and choose the ones that we like the best. But before we do that, we are going to let you know the SRG podcast is proudly brought to you by our friends at White Lion Brewing in Tower Square in downtown Springfield and in Amherst on North Pleasant Street. Parking garages still not open in downtown Springfield. So Park at Tower Square. Go down to White Lion pregame. Get yourself a cocktail or beer. Get yourself some Boomer nachos or some Hall of Fame wings. Show them your ticket stub. They'll validate your parking for you. So not only are you enjoying some good food and drink, but you're also saving yourself $14. So definitely go check out our friends at White Lion Brewing in downtown Springfield and in Amherst. Big sponsor here of the Shake, Rattle, and Gold podcast. And please tell them that the boys from SRG sent you. By our friends at Brewcade on Walnut Street in Agawam. It's exactly what it sounds like. Brews and arcade games, pool, darts. They have dart leagues. I believe they have a pool league as well. Matt noticed that the parties that you can have there are pretty awesome. You want to have a party for an 8-year-old, they can do that. You want to have a party for a 38-year-old, they can do that as well. Both are pretty cool, fun options, and definitely kid-friendly for those such events. So definitely get in touch with Mike over there at Brewcade on Walnut Street in Agawam. Good buddy of ours and known him for a long time. Please let him know the guys from SRG sent you. And by our friends at Landscaping That Fits. I've been saying it for 25 weeks, Matt. I've been saying it. Spring's here, baby. And I got sticks and leaves, and the wind keeps blowing and knocking stuff over, and it's just a mess. And I'm sitting here going, well, I'm looking at the weather. When do I fertilize? Do I do it now, a week from now, Easter, after Easter, Good Friday? I have no idea. I don't know. But I know who does. Rob at Landscaping That Fits knows. That's why he's going to come to my house and put it down when it's supposed to be down. And one day he's going to show up and start doing it. And I'm going to be like, oh, today's the day to do it. Awesome. So definitely give him a call at 413-847-0338 for all those things. A mosquito and tick control, fertilizer, regular mowing, yard cleanup. You just got a big pile of junk you don't know what to do with, sticks, leaves, grass clippings, whatever it is. Call Rob. He'll come over and pick them up. Not junk like couches. I'm talking junk like lawn stuff. 413-847-0338. I'm going to do my best here to pull up some of these fan rants. I'm sure you're sort of right in the middle of that as well.
I got one. I'll hop in here first to start. I like this one from Nicholas F. Finishing within the top 3 quarters of the division isn't that high of a bar. It's not like in the NHL where only half the teams get into the playoffs. They're going to be chased by another flawed team that played well last week, but was ice cold the way you were for many weeks and are going on a long road trip. T-Birds were always going to be playing in the play-in round, so they just have to hope that the team is better next month for facing this adversity now. And I just wanted to highlight and start with a fan rant because I like it. I mean, and that's facing reality. And Nick, you're right. I mean, we had aspirations of could this team climb to top 3? No, right? So they are where they are. And what that means is they're going to be playing another flawed team. Are they going to be able to use these struggles now, right the ship, and have confidence in themselves that, look, again, this is not a good time to be hitting your low, your quote unquote rock bottom, right? But here they are. I hope this is that rock bottom point. So nowhere to go but up from here. What do you learn on your way back up? You know, all the trials and tribulations of the season. And I'm not trying to be all hoorah and hip, hip, hooray, but can it benefit them? Time will tell, and only the boys in the locker room know this, know how they're going to react to it. But they are long overdue to sort of get out of the funk and use this struggle into the playoff if they can make it.
Yeah, I want to sort of jump off with that and what Austin Harrington said, my buddy. He says, this is not the right time to be hitting a low spot. Hopefully the team can gain some energy back and get back on a winning streak. Still not hitting the panic button, but Hartford is just 5 points away. And Hartford's also adding. They just signed a kid out of college. Yeah. They got a couple send downs from the Rangers. Is there ever a good time to go on a 6-game losing streak? No. They are terrible in November and Christmas and New Year's. Anytime a 6-game losing streak happens, it's never a good time. It's like a car accident. It's like, when's a good time, a convenient time for a car accident? Literally never, right? Are there worse times for a 6-game losing streak? Yes, there are. Absolutely. They have 10 games left. What if we were having this conversation when they had 2 games left? Mm-hmm. Do I think that they're going to rattle off 10 straight wins? No, but if they go 7-3 over the next 10 games, this whole conversation is going to be different, right? And they're going to be in the playoffs if they go 7-3. So if you can pick a number in your head, 7-3, 6-4, I mean, 5-5, 5-5 might get them in the rest of the way here. So is it a good time? No. Is it the worst time? Also no. Because if the playoffs started tomorrow and they were limping in like this, we'd be having to hold up another conversation. So just keep that in mind, Austin, that we do, it's not a lot, but we still have some hockey left to play. 5 at home, 5 on the road.
Yeah. Yep. Daniel wants to know, which players do we think need to step things up? I know hockey is a team sport, but there are holes in the last couple of weeks' performances. I agree. I don't know if I can pinpoint one player to quote unquote step up. I just think, you need Nicky to score a lot of goals. I think you need Nicky to carry the offense at this point right now. He's with Dvorsky up. I think Matt Luff can step it up both offensively and in leadership. I think, again, I can't fault a player for being really upset after losing 6 straight, because that's frustrating. But I think his body language sometimes isn't the most positive. So I would like to see Matt Luff kind of step up that leadership role. I think you need to get McGing back on a heater. And look, with Kaskamaki out, with Peterson out, hopefully back soon, Dvorsky up, Stenberg, you are the rookie right now, right? So with no other lights to shine, Stenberg, is he a guy that can step up? So those are kind of my highlights of guys that, could step up and just kind of get back to playing good quality hockey.
Yeah, I think that's important. It's got to come from the leadership. It's got to start at the top. And, I've noticed Pekka, for instance, has been more physical in the last 2 weeks. I saw him really throwing the body a lot this weekend because, when you're not as hot offensively as you have been, well, like we said, okay, what else can you do? What other tricks can you do?
Right.
And so I like seeing that from leadership, and I hope that kind of trickles down to some of the other guys. And yeah, it's hard. There's a lot of guys, like you said, that are on this team that are relatively kind of sort of limited. And Alexandrov, I thought I don't want to be too mean, but I didn't enjoy watching him play hockey between Wednesday and Friday night. Let's just put it that way. So, like I said off the top, they have to want it. They have to want it. They have to want it more than the team wearing the different jersey. They have to want it more than they do. And they have to will themselves to get pucks into the net and will themselves to keep pucks out of their net. That's really, to me, what it comes down to. And that starts at the top and goes all the way down. It's not even one particular player. They all need to figure that out. And again, that's not a skill set you learn. That's all in your heart. It's all in your head. Lynn says, I'm not going to rant as my words were really not read the last couple of weeks. I think someone's taking a shot across the bow. But we'll read it today for you, Lynn. They're not in a slump. Do we know why? No, but I'm hoping and praying that they can find each other, communicate, and get out of this. Communication. There's another one, Lynn. Communication needs to be better. Guys are coming down at one point. Schoenemann is coming down with the puck, and a guy comes up behind him and just lifts the stick and takes it away. And it's like, there's 5 other guys on the ice, including the goalie. Nobody had any, hey, watch out, somebody's coming on your back. None of that. Bogey on your 6, like none of that. That's got to be better. That's communication for sure. Huge. Real quick, our friend Trini says that April 4th through the 6th, the T-Birds are away. Fans are looking for some hockey to watch. Watch the T-Birds sled hockey rec team play at Amelia Park sled hockey tournament. Her team's playing at 9:40 a.m. and then again at 4:40 p.m. on the 5th. And the T-Birds rec team will be playing at 3:40 p.m. And they play noon on April 6th. So she got a flyer. We can probably share
that out. Yeah.
People. But yeah, we're definitely down to help you out with that as well, Trini, and good luck.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, Steve. I did have that written down on my notes to mention the sled hockey game. Kind of one more fan rant I wanted to read off, and it goes along with what you were saying about as far as Pekka being a lot more physical. Angela C. points out that she feels like they're lacking defense and there's not really a lot of checking going on at all. Maybe a few hits here and there, but it's not consistent. Why does the coach shorten the bench when we're losing? Callan, Bitton, Kessie, only line taking the body. And that kind of goes to what we were saying. When you're losing and you need offense, it's tough to put that line on the ice because you're not getting offense. But when that's the only line being physical, when that's the only line finishing their checks, it's a trade-off. And that's where I mean, where like if you had those guys spread across multiple lines, or if you just had them being able to one night on, one night off, I think that would suit the team better. Angela, respectfully, I have to disagree. You go on to ask, are they going to sit Loof or Johannesson to put Malmstrom back in? Loof better not go anywhere.
Agreed.
Loof better not go anywhere. He right now, in my opinion, for probably even before this 6-game skid, was probably one of their most well-rounded defensemen. And physical, again, there's no offense. There's no goals coming from Lou for now almost 2 full years in the AHL, which come on, buddy. Like, just get one already. It's almost like you're trying not to. But the way his positioning, his physicality, I think Loof has really stepped up his game this year, the second half of this year. I wouldn't be surprised to see St. Louis taking another serious look at how Loof is doing in the offseason, and you know, they might have to rethink their plan. He's playing really well. So Angela, I do not think Loof should be going anywhere. Maybe Harrington takes a breather. Callan Addison takes a breather. But with Butchiger coming back, I think he slides in, and Loof should not go anywhere.
Good stuff. I will go off of what she said about shortening the bench and that kind of thing. I tend to agree with you because, Matt, you've talked about the expectations, right? And I'm not expecting Callan, Bitton, and Kessie to go out there and score a bunch of goals and be +5. I expect physical play. I expect them to wear the other team down. I expect them to get an offensive zone faceoff.
Mm-hmm.
If they can go out there for 45 seconds, wear the other team out, and end it with an offensive zone draw so Pekka can come out and take an offensive zone faceoff, success. Perfect. Mm-hmm. That's just what we're looking for, especially when you're playing the way they're playing right now. Simple.
Mm-hmm.
Forecheck, bang bodies, move the puck, get offensive zone faceoffs. That's it. And I don't think that's too much to ask. And I think there's value to that late in games, in a late game situation. So I tend to agree with you a little bit on that one. And thus concludes our fan rants for this week. I do have a couple. We are going to look at the games here coming up against Iowa. Just a couple other things that are not, unfortunately, I don't want to get everybody's hopes up too much. The Blues did sign 2 players today. Mm-hmm. 2 of their draft picks, entry-level deals. Ads. Oh my goodness, the ads. My word, the ads. One is Adam Jecko. Adam is he's 19 years old. He's a center right winger. He is 6'5", 195 pounds at the age of 19. Just a quick scouting report. 6'5" players don't skate or shoot or handle like Jecko. He's a powerful skater, easily links different maneuvers, fluidity, handling the puck in his hip pocket the entire time. Shoots in stride with near perfect form. Wow, they got some high praise for this guy. Probably, according to my sources, probably going playing another season in the juniors. So we are not likely. It's not like he's going to come in right now and hop in the lineup and play big minutes. That's not happening. Same goes. Go ahead.
Well, when you talk, is he going to continue this year in the juniors? Do we expect Jecko to be up in 25, 26?
I will look that up. I will pull up the article. I'm going to mention this guy, and then I'll toss it to you, and then I'll see if I can find that article. So the other one is Lucas Fisher. If you remember, man, oh man, I love elite prospects, but holy smokes, their ads.
Yeah, it's tough.
His dad was Yuri Fisher. Yes, his dad was Yuri Fisher. I think he played for the Red Wings. Mm-hmm. Another guy though, defenseman. Oh my goodness, these ads. I don't even know where their nearest Wegmans is. Elite prospect. I don't even see a Wegmans anywhere. Second round draft pick. He's from Brighton. Oh, Brighton, Michigan. Never mind. Different Brighton. So yeah, his dad was played for the Red Wings. 18 years old, 6'3", $191, mobile defenseman. Combination of above average reach and mobility enables him to cover larger areas of the ice and closes gaps. So a couple guys to just keep our eyes on when we talk about prospects moving forward. And then I'm going to, I'll toss it to you and let me see if I can find that article.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, just, I mean, to my kind of take on these two signings now, I think this is the benefit of a 7-year deal with your parent club, where you really will start to see, Steve highlights this, excuse me, sorry, a lot, where here in Springfield, we don't necessarily have the continuity of guys that have played together for 4 or 5 years, right? There's a few core guys, but you don't see that. Now I think you're going to start to see over the next few years, you're going to see a real core of guys in the Blues organization that the Blues are keeping eyes on, that the Blues are keeping tabs on. These guys are young, they're teenagers, and I think that's all good stuff for the Thunderbirds. So real quick, looking ahead, the Thunderbirds are starting 3-3 this weekend with back-to-back home games against Iowa. This was a team that helped get Springfield right in Iowa. This was probably two of the more convincing, not ever really worrying about it games that the Thunderbirds have played all year. We sometimes tend to say this about Bridgeport, but these are get right kind of games, which is why the Bridgeport loss this past weekend stung so much, because
didn't watch a look of it. I saw the score and said, I always watch them late at night. I'm like, nope, I'm putting this one on.
Yeah. But 2 games against Iowa. So with a 3-3, I'm going to expect Colton Ellis and Vadim Zarenko. I know with Iowa, again, we highlighted it in a previous show where we talked about their goaltending kind of not really being up to par either with either goalie. So I'm hoping that this can be a team, if we're talking about, at least from my perspective, where'd the offense go, this is the beginning of a weekend where you can hopefully find that offense. These are goalies that you've beaten. These are goalies that you were able to light up early and often, and then kind of, quite honestly, coast. The way the team is playing now, I don't want to see this team coast at all. If they can win 8-0, win 8-0. But, at this point, if you get a 2-1 lead in the third period, skate and finish. These 2 games at home. I'll be there on Saturday for their teacher appreciation night. Nice. Yeah, that's nice. Teachers, you can look, I don't know. I haven't seen it as a sellout yet, but I know if you're a teacher in the area, just give the Thunderbirds front office a call, and all teachers will receive a complimentary ticket for this game.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So, my family, we're going. Another colleague, her family's going as well. I was able to get her tickets. So we'll be there in the Thunderdome on Saturday. And then T-Birds finish up their 3-3 on Sunday in Providence. So look, I have no reason not to think if the T-Birds can get right against Iowa Friday and Saturday, they have played Providence well this year. They have. And I have no reason to think that would not continue on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And I have no predictions because I have no idea what the weekend's going to bring. Not a clue. Yeah,
but I'm not even going to try.
I do like to look up the other teams' schedules. Iowa they're playing 2 in Springfield, and then they're playing to 2 in Texas. On Tuesday, they have to go out and play the Texas Stars. So that's kind of a rough stretch for them. But they are home actually tonight, Wednesday night, fly out Thursday, I assume, or Friday morning, which would be even worse. I'm always curious about those travel schedules. But
yeah.
They'll land and then just play 2 in Springfield and then go out to Texas. So it's kind of a weird road trip for them, weird schedule. And we'll see what kind of shape they're in heading in. Just to follow up on what I mentioned earlier, and it's Blue Notes Rising. It is the name of the publication, if you will. And it's Mike Meyer, a guy who is going to come on the show here at some point. What he says for Jekko, he says next steps, Jekko will likely spend at least 1 more season in the WHL to polish his 2-way play and strength. A strong camp in 2025 could earn him a look with the Blues AHL affiliate Springfield. So I think he'll be at camp invite. I kind of don't understand. I think that means he'll be a camp invite this year in 2025, but might still go back to the juniors unless he sort of tears it up a little bit.
Yep.
For Fisher, it says Fisher's immediate future likely includes another year in the OHL to refine his defensive positioning and decision-making under pressure. A standout season could accelerate his path to the AHL in 2026 with an eye on competing for an NHL roster spot shortly after. So, again, guys, let's talk about the pipeline. I think we can all agree that the St. Louis pipeline for prospects is actually pretty good. And when you look at what their lineup is with Bolduc, I mean, even Jordan Kyrou came up through their system, and Robert Thomas, who they took 20th overall, right? So between those two and Dvorsky and Neighbors and Bolduc, right? Like, and Stenberg, right? And like, they're in a really good spot with their prospects. So it's just a couple more guys to keep your eye on. Other than that, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this because I don't know. I have no expectations. Last week my expectations were too high last weekend and I came away very disappointed. So I'm just going to go with no expectations and hope for the best. We'll see what happens.
Look, I get, I have, you got to win. You're in a playoff spot. You're not needing to climb anyone, but you have to fend off a very hot Hartford team who just beat Hershey and just beat Milwaukee. So you cannot afford a 2-point weekend. You just can't. You can't afford a 2-point weekend. You need 4 points. I don't care how you get them. You need 4 points. So
at least
that you know, I get it. I'm not. Do I expect them to beat Iowa 8-0? No. I think it's going to be a closer game than we saw in Iowa. The team was rolling when they were in Iowa. They're not right now. So I think you're going to have to, but I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't matter how you win. You just got to win, and you have to earn that sort of win after a losing streak. You got to earn it. And I expect them to earn it. Quite honestly, they kind of have to.
That's what ticked me off about Wednesday's game. Is that they were in such a good position to drag Hershey to overtime, and then boom, it didn't happen. So we'll keep our eye on it. I don't know. I think that's kind of any last words for you, Matt, before we thank our sponsors and bounce.
Let's close it out.
All right. Well, we want to thank our friends at White Lion Brewing for sponsoring our show. You can catch them in downtown Springfield and up in Amherst. We want to thank our friends at Brewcade right on Walnut Street in Agawam, right over the bridge from West Springfield from the Biggie. I kind of can't miss it. So definitely check them out. And by your friends at Landscaping That Fits, 413-847-0338. Thank you all for sponsoring our podcast. A bunch of local businesses helping out a local podcast about a local team. It really can't be.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the clicks. Thank you for the fan rants. Check out Trini's sled hockey team, April 4th and 5th. Best of luck, Trini. I don't know if I can make it out to Amelia Park, but I'm rooting for you, and I wish you the best. Hey, as always, folks, you know this. We love our team. Let's make the Thunderdome proud. Let's let the boys hear us win, lose, or draw. Let's go, T-Birds.